Christian history is full of martyrs, people that died for the Christian faith. The early centuries sees a large number of soldiers, members of the Roman army, one of history's greatest war machines. Amongst these is a largely unknown hero called Callistratus. Today I'm going to introduce him to you and talk a little bit about why it's so interesting that there are so many soldier saints. Before Christianity came on the scene, the pagan world wasn't as excited and fervent as we might think it was based on our idea of what Christianity looks like. For most pagan Romans, religion wasn't something they really cared that much about. It was a very transactional thing. I give some stuff to the gods don't mess with me. So for a lot of Romans, religion was fairly nominal, which is one of the reasons Christianity was so strange. Why do these guys care so much? One of the exceptions to the nominal paganism of ancient Rome was the Roman army. In the Roman army, the gods mattered, and it was important who you worshipped and what the gods did for you in war. Almost all the heightened points of persecution in those early centuries of Christianity coincide with the rule of former military emperors and governors. So, to be a Christian in the army, to be a Christian in the Roman army surrounded by pagans that cared about the gods, was a very dangerous place to be, and we know how risky that was because we know what happened to them when they were found out. Into this tumultuous time in this dangerous place in the 3rd century comes Callistratus. Now, Callistratus isn't the first name most people will think of when they think of a soldier martyr. There are a lot of others that are far more famous than he is. And if you haven't heard of him, don't feel bad, because I only learnt about him in the last year or two. He is not a very well-known saint, but there are elements of his story that really resonated with me. Callistratus is a Roman soldier from the city of Carthage in North Africa. He has been raised in the Christian faith, and he has managed to keep it secret while serving as a respected member of the Roman army. Every night, when there was a quiet moment, he would sneak away to pray to Christ, avoiding the men. One night, he was overheard. Callistratus is taken before the camp commander, where he is given a way out. If he worships the gods, if he gives sacrifice, because he's never been seen giving sacrifice to the pagan gods, he is going to be allowed to live. So of course Callistratus says no. He is a servant of God, he is a servant of the Christian faith, and they condemn him to death. Now, it's not enough for them just to kill him there and then. They have to make an example of him. They have to humiliate the Christian faith that he stands for. So they gather the men at the shore the next day after beating and flogging him within an inch of his life. They tie him into a leather sack and they throw him off a cliff into the sea. And there something interesting happens. The leather sack in which he is tied sinks to the bottom of the water, where it is pierced by a sharp rock on the sea floor. And the men on the shore watch as a dolphin brings Callistratus to shore. Now, dolphins saving human beings isn't a massively unusual thing. We've seen it in recent years, and the Romans were familiar with the phenomenon of it. Stories were around the Roman Empire of dolphins saving humans. But remember, this is the Roman army. They know the value of the gods, and they know who runs the ocean. It was either Neptune or Poseidon, or the goddess Salacia, the mistress of the dolphins. The dolphins didn't go around without their say-so, and here they were, taking to shore a man who had rejected those gods. The Romans knew the value of that, so when he gets back to shore, he is greeted by 49 fellow members of his troop, wanting to take this religion. They want what he has because they know that this is valuable. So the camp commanders not only failed to humiliate the Christian religion and Callistratus, but now they have 50 rebellious men. They're all thrown into prison for that night. And in prison, Callistratus begins to teach them about Christianity. The next day, they're taken in front of the authorities again. They're asked if they're sure about this, and all of them say yes. All 50 are sentenced to death, and once again, they decide they need to humiliate all of them, and it needs to be big. They tie them hand and foot, and they throw them into the water behind a dam. And there, in the water, the bonds break. These men are just floating in the water, unharmed, and Callistratus takes this useful opportunity to baptize his 49 friends. And as the soldiers watch this happen, the camp's idol falls to the ground. The Romans know that that's important, that something really valuable has happened. And so, not only are these 50 men able to swim back to shore, they're greeted by over 130 other soldiers. The Roman commanders are not pleased, and they realize that they have to do something drastic. They take the 50 men back into the cells, and that night, without any chance of humiliating the Christian faith, without any chance of humiliating these men, they execute them quietly in the cells. The 50 men are martyrs, and the 130 remaining soldiers who profess the Christian faith, they preserve that story. So the story of Callistratus and his friends ends there at martyrdom. But there is something more about the story of Callistratus that is really exciting. And that is, think of this for a second. This is 3rd century Roman Empire. A member of the Roman military has been Christian since birth. He has been raised in the faith. He He's grown up in Carthage in North Africa to Christian parents. And the reason is amazing. The reason is that his ancestor, several generations ago, was stationed in Jerusalem. His name was Neochorus, and he was one of the men at the crucifixion of Christ. He witnessed the crucifixion, and he knew something had happened when he later heard of the resurrection. He was baptized in Jerusalem, and he went and eventually settled in Carthage, raising his family in the faith, being part of the underground church there, to a point that his ancestor, Callistratus, still held true that Christian faith. There is a beautiful power of legacy there. So Christians can and do leave a legacy for their children to follow. And Callistratus and these heroes from the early centuries, these martyrs, have left an incredible legacy for all Christians to follow. We might not suffer martyrdom for our Christian faith, but with stories like these, we can be encouraged in the obstacles that we do face in the life that we live, that the same Jesus Christ that was with them is with us here today. Today's tea is Darjeeling tea. From memory, it is the highest grown tea in the world, and I thought that sounded pretty intense and good for an episode about soldiers.